So we're going to print a booklet here, and the booklet has a cover. The PDF page size is 8.5 11. There's a cover at the beginning, the back cover at the end. All the pages are 8.5 11, and this is a fairly normal workflow. So we'll go and do a file print. In this dialog, we'll first choose our printer, make sure that we have actual size or fit selected, and then we can go into properties. But before we do that, it's worth noting that under Adobe Reader, by default, if you go to advanced, you'll see that it by default it lets printer, it doesn't let So if we go into advanced, you'll see that the checkbox let printer determine colors is off. This should be checked. You want the Fiery, this wonderful machine, to manage the color for you. You'll get much better result, a wider gamut. If you are using Acrobat Professional, then this will be slightly different. Under Advanced, you'll have to go to Color Management and choose here Printer Color Management. Once you do that, it will remember that for later on. So just remember to do that once and it should be good. Now under Properties, we'll go to our print driver. So in our print driver, we have to tell the driver a few things. We have to tell it where is the paper coming from for the main content of the job, what's the paper for the cover. We have to tell it to make a cover as well, and the finishing options. So under Media, we'll start by telling it where we want our paper. If we don't know what paper to use, we can go under Printer. And we'll see here what kind of paper we have in the machine. So we could start by telling the machine we want to use maybe tray 1. We want the size to be 11/17. Probably 24-pound paper would do well. And that would be it here. We could also alternatively just use the paper catalog and choose something in here. Now, under Layout, we'll go to Booklet, and we'll have left binding chosen here, because you see it's a left binding. If you were doing a PowerPoint or maybe a calendar, top binding would make more sense. So we'll leave it left. Here we'll see that we have the centering done at the spine instead of at the center. If you're doing a PowerPoint, you want the image to be centered on the sheet, on its page. But when you do a booklet, sometimes you'll have an image that spans both pages, so you don't want a border in the middle as you would get. So by default, at the spine is the correct option. If your booklet is very thick, you could use Compensate Creep so that as you face trim your booklet, the numbers at the bottom right would line up properly. And in our case here, because we have 8 pages and thus no blank, it's divisible by 4, we can say print on both sides for each. If you're not sure, choose print on any side. It's a better option. And now for our cover, we'll go here and we can say our cover is going to come maybe from another tray. So we could use the paper catalog here, or we can define it manually. So we could say, take the cover out of the bypass. It will be an uncoded, and it's not pre-printed, and maybe it's an 80-pound cover. In my case, I'll make it grayscale because it's black. There we go. At this point, the machine will know how to print the job and how to impose it. But we didn't do the finishing yet. You have to tell the machine to bifold staple. So we'll go under Finishing, and we'll make sure that for the fold style we choose Booklet Fold. It will fold all the sheets together. And for the stapler mode, we'll choose Center. So it staples the center of the 11/17 sheet to give you an 8.5 11 booklet. And at that point, we're done. If we like what we did and it runs fine, we could save a preset. This will allow us to replicate all these settings right away from one simple click. We push OK, and we push print, and off we go.
And so what we get at the end of our printing effort is a booklet that has a pretty thick cover and normal paper inside. Again, in this case, we've put the cover in tray 5 and we simply define it as uncoated 177 to 220 GSM.